For those of you that are tuning in live, this is the Virgo September 2020 Tarotscope. So this is a message for how your September 2020 may go if you have a Virgo sun sign, moon, or rising, or heavily placed planets in the sign of Virgo. Happy birthday, Virgos. We just entered into Virgo season, so it is your guys' season. So you guys are kicking off the Earth signs, and I will be doing Virgo, then Capricorn, then Taurus. So not all together, not all in this one video, but hopefully if I can get through them tonight, I'm going to try and do them all tonight. But this is for Virgo. I did unbox some oracle decks, which I'm shuffling those cards right now. This deck for the Earth signs is the Power Animals Oracle cards, and I thought that I would associate an animal oracle deck with the Earth signs because animals are very connected to the Earth, and so I thought that was kind of appropriate. So the idea behind this card is it's just kind of something to ponder for the month, maybe a guide, a focal point that my Virgos may want to keep in their mind as they move through September. It's supposed to help to, add to the reading, so we'll see how this works. Hopefully it works out well. And let's get started. Hey Gabby, how are you? Hey Aaron, how are you? Oh, and by the way too, this is a broad spectrum reading for all Virgos, so if some of it applies, that's great. If some of it doesn't, that's okay too. There's nothing wrong. It doesn't mean you're on a bad, in a bad way, or things aren't working appropriately. It just might mean that you might be in tune to a different trajectory that I'm not picking up on, okay? So don't take that too personally. Also, I should say this too, anything that is said or you hear here, you have to kind of apply it to your life and take full responsibility for that. I am not responsible for any decisions that you make due to hearing this reading. I want you to trust your own intuition and your own information over my own. Alright, so let's see what power animal the Virgo gets. Ooh, shit. So you guys have owl, omens. The reason why I said ooh shit is the omens aspect of it is a little bit kind of foreboding. Owls to me usually represent knowledge, just kind of, that sort of how many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop kind of thing. They just I've always associated with them with the knowledge. But this says omens. It says pay attention to signs, and signs is in big letters. So this is Virgo season, so that would be probably a good omen. I would think that spirit might be all around you, celebrating you, wanting to sort of connect with you. And owls, there's certain birds that I kind of feel like have an association with both this plane and, say, the spiritual realm, and I think owls would definitely be one of them. They travel at night, they kind of go into the darkness, they're nocturnal, all of that, so they would definitely have a deeper connection to the other side. So during your birthday season, if you guys find yourself being extra intuitive, more aware, seeing weird coincidences, they're not really weird coincidences to me. They're probably blessings, they're probably opportunities. Things are going to maybe be shown to you that, to me, omens feels sort of foreboding, but I don't think that's the case with this card. I will read the definition of this card just to make sure that there's nothing that we need to look out for, because I'm not super familiar with this deck. But to me, overall, I think owl is a pretty sturdy bird in the sense that it is usually intelligent. It knows what it needs to do. It knows how to move through the darkness pretty well. So I think that my Virgos have a good guide this month. So this says, pay attention to signs. To find the answer you're seeking, it's extremely important to pay attention to signs, especially repetitive ones. There are clues you can see, hear, or feel around you. Sometimes they're subtle, sometimes very obvious. These messages may come through a conversation you overhear, a newspaper headline you just happen to glance at, a friend calling on the phone, or any number of other ways. The key is to be open at this most auspicious time for guidance in the form of these omens. These are not random occurrences. Although they appear outside of your own skin, they're responding to a call your soul is making, whether or not you're aware of it. These omens are manifestations of Spirit's directives, so it's important to keep an open mind and heart to the cues you're receiving. Don't overanalyze them. Overanalyzation is a very Virgo trait, so that's something that might be a little bit difficult for you guys this month. Don't overanalyze them, but do heed them by observing with all your senses the wisdom of the natural world, and even the human-made world will speak to you. It says additional associations with the owl card is wisdom, which we talked about, shadows, secrecy, and magician. So to me, that feels like a really good card for my Virgos. So keep on the lookout, look for patterns, look for, synchronicities, opportunities that may arise, even things that might not necessarily look as though they're good signs. They might be leading you to something better, right? So if my Virgos are sort of experiencing discomfort, say in relationships, or, say something that the signs are coming to you that, like, hey, we need to ditch this. This is no longer working for us. This is only bringing us grief and pain. I think that that's actually a good thing. And remember, that will be spirit kind of guiding you and bringing these signs and omens to you. So trust them. And as your intuition is speaking to you, trust that too. Don't overanalyze it. Don't try and, think too much about it. Just sort of trust what's going on around you and take the messages as they come. All right, so let's see what's going on with my Virgos. What do they need to know for September of 2020? And if you guys enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up or a like. It's really important that you guys hit the thumbs up, especially if you're watching over on YouTube. That helps with the algorithms. And let's see what's going on here. All right. So the first card always represents sort of where my Virgos are going to be centered at during the month of September. It's not necessarily where you'll be the entire month of September, but you will go in and out of this sort of energy. It gives me kind of a vibe for what's going on for the month of September. Oh shit. Okay, so this is the Magician card. It said Magician with Owl. So I'm not making this stuff up. The beauty of the Magician is that he's Major Arcana. Sorry, it's kind of out of focus there. He's Major Arcana. It's a very powerful card to have in the center of our spread for this month. But this is Virgo season, so it makes sense. You guys are going to feel empowered. You'll feel creative. You'll feel that kind of, what's the word I want to use? Like sort of emboldened in a way, or self-assured. There is that opportunity too. I like that Owl is the guiding force for you guys this month. Coupled with this Magician, we've got this magic mentioned twice here now. So to me, the Magician is kind of tied into all of the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water, right? And he has all of those elements there and available for his creation. So my Virgos, you guys are going to feel empowered to be creative this month. I think that you're going to have the opportunity to not only create yourself, but also have spirit co-create with you. This is for this idea of paying attention to the signs. You want to sort of open your mind, open your heart, and look around you. All of the thing with the Magician to me is that all of the resources are available to him or her. The Magician doesn't necessarily have to be male, even though traditionally that's how he's appears in tarot. But what I want to say is that you guys have all of your sort of skill set around you, within you, and you feel extremely empowered during the month of September. So utilize it. Let's see what else is going on. We have the Foundation card. This is usually the card from the past that kind of has led us up to this point and what's brought us to this reading today, right? It's also sometimes this card can represent as sort of the driving force, the memory of it. The recollection of it can also be what's sort of pushing us forward, what we're sort of built in. Okay. Okay, Virgo, you guys are going to have a pretty powerful reading, it looks like. So this is the Devil card. Okay, so the Devil in the Foundation speaks to me about Virgos leaving maybe some goofy shit behind, or has left some goofy shit behind in the past. To me, the Devil signifies kind of opportunities where we get to see where we're at our weakest. We might have to deal with addictions to, this could be addictions to anything. This could be addictions to sex, to people, to money, to food, to whatever. The Devil sort of shows us where we are weakest, where we are sort of chained down, where we struggle most, right? The Devil wants to keep us there, but to me, this being in the past or foundation position speaks to the idea that Virgo has sort of needed to stare down in the face something probably pretty significant and something that was very challenging. But I get the feeling that with this Magician card in the center, Virgo has come to terms or completion with whatever it was that they were struggling with in the past, so that's represented in this devil. It will be something rather significant. It's not going to be, you know, oh, I got over my addiction to shoe shopping. It's going to be something bigger and more impactful than that. But to me, I feel like my Virgos have been maybe struggling along, fighting against, trying to let go, and it looks as though you guys have turned a corner because this Magician card in the center speaks to that. This Magician card is almost like a new beginning. It's the card right after the Fool, so to me the Fool represents the door opening. The Magician is like the first step through, right? I should mention too that I believe Capricorn is the devil energy. The sign of Capricorn is associated with the card of the devil. And the sign of Aquarius is the Magician, just so you know. I don't know if that's important to any of you, because this is predominantly for Virgo, so I don't necessarily do that. If this were like a twin flame reading, that would matter. But I'll just throw that out there for you guys. To me, this looks like... also that from the driving force aspect of this position of this card, it's like I get this feeling that Virgo has kind of learned their lesson and doesn't want to go any do that dance anymore. Does that make sense? In essence, like I've sort of put that that issue or that struggle from the past behind me, and I'm moving forward in a much more positive way. Does that make sense? And that's where I think that's some of the reward that we see in this Owl card, is that Spirit is kind of maybe acknowledging, my Virgos, where you have worked hard, where you have struggled, where you've accomplished and sort of achieved and gotten beyond the things that limit you and really have done the work. You're now getting the opportunity to kind of move beyond that and create something new in that space. And Spirit, or your guides, however, or your higher self, however you want to see it, is here trying to help you during this month. So enjoy it very much. Oh, happy birthday, Ellen Jane. Okay, now the above card is what I call your spirit or soul card, and it sort of tells me a little bit about what your spirit or soul wants in all of this, what it's kind of going to be working on, or what it wants you to kind of deal with during the month of September. So this is the Eight of Swords. Let me pull that closer. So do you see that this person is kind of helping that person laying on the ground, or at least that's how it always appears to me. I don't know how well you guys can see the design. But the Eight of Swords, to me, eights are kind of... to me, they're kind of about bringing into balance. And when I look at this in this position, I feel like this is about bringing into balance. Spirit wanting us to respond, or maybe... let me just look at this for 1 minute. Maybe like sort of address and take care of some of our own wounds, mental struggles, that sort of a thing. Traditionally, I believe the Eight of Swords is that woman that's kind of bound up and caught around a bunch of, surrounded by a bunch of swords, and she can't necessarily see her way out of the problem that she's in. But what I feel like this is sitting in the soul space, especially with this Devil card down in the bottom, is it feels like to me, any sort of last minute hang-ups, any sort of last minute sort of attachments, strings that Virgo may have, buttons that might still be there and able to be triggered, I feel like this Eight of Swords speaks to the idea of kind of dealing with that, clearing that out, addressing those final triggers in a way, and releasing them, right? And in doing so, it's kind of like I see both of these people, this man assisting this other man laying on the ground. This is kind of like our higher self helping our physical or mental egoic self, right? By doing the work, releasing the thoughts, freeing ourselves still even more so than we may have gotten, let me say this. The devil is sort of like the initial issue that we dealt with, whatever it may be, however big and obvious, and whatever we thought was outside of ourselves that we had to kind of release or get free of. We've gotten free of it, but there still might be some finalization or like small mental work, egoic work that we need to kind of bring into balance and settle. And I think that that's what our spirit wants us to kind of concentrate on or work on, healing ourselves, helping ourselves, nurturing ourselves a little bit. The Eight of Swords isn't necessarily associated with nurturing, but when I look at that man bent over the man laying on the ground, to me this is like Virgo stepping forward to heal themselves. So anytime during this month where you get to take care of yourself, replenish yourself, do so. I think that you certainly deserve it, especially with that Magician card in the center. There's a lot of opportunity for creation and positivity this month. So honor yourself, acknowledge yourself, and really kind of allow yourself to get free of any sort of limiting thoughts or beliefs that you might still carry from either previous situations that you were maybe stuck in and are no longer involved in, okay? This to me feels like complete and total freedom, if that makes any sense. And the last bit of it might be around mental stuff that we need to free ourselves from. Now, the next two cards are what I call outside influences. These can be people, events, sometimes energies or belief systems that could be having an effect on us during the month of September. So we just want to be aware of them. They can be either positive or negative, but let's see what they are. So what is the Queen of Swords? Lots of air energy with my Virgos this month. I'm not sure what's going on there because you guys are Earth. But so the Queen of Swords, to me, she is sort of clear, decisive thought, making those decisions. This can be an air sign of, generally queens represent females, and it would be one of the air signs, Aquarius, Libra, or what's the other air? Gemini. Let me just look at this for a minute. I kind of feel like this is an authoritarian woman. If this is somebody outside of you, I get a feeling that for most of my Virgos, or the ones that I'm reading for that may actually see this video, there might be a dismissive woman. I feel like this queen is very dismissive. This could be a mother figure to some of you. This could be a boss to some of you. I feel like she's not willing to acknowledge, like when I'm looking at her, the sense that I'm getting from this card is that this is a woman in our lives that maybe is not willing to acknowledge us as we are. This could be some of this Devil card. This could be a relationship that we have that is significant and important to us. This is somebody I feel like that she is, how do I want to say this? Like she's in a position of authority, or maybe has been in the past. And I feel like the reason why I say this is this Magician card in the center. This feels like my Virgos, you guys are rising up or growing into who you are and a better understanding of what you're worth, that sort of a thing. And what I feel like this is this is a feminine presence, or it can be it could be a man representing as like an opinionated man that might be a little bit bitchy. And the Queen of Swords is not necessarily a bitchy card, but I feel this with this card during this reading is I feel like this is somebody that's rather dismissive, opinionated, and maybe has sort of challenged you through a fair amount of time during the relationship. I hope that makes sense. And I feel like she's unwilling to acknowledge the power that is here in the Magician. I feel like there is, I almost feel like this Queen of Swords feels threatened in some way, right? Like they don't want, she's facing away from the Magician, like she doesn't want to acknowledge that you're coming into your own. Maybe you've achieved what you need to achieve. Maybe for some of you, and this is maybe only for a few specific people out there, but for some of you, whatever challenge you've overcome in this Devil card, whether she's a part of that challenge or not, maybe she's not necessarily that challenge, but her watching you overcome that, she's not necessarily willing to acknowledge that because she might be afraid that you might see through some of the games that she puts you through. Does that make sense? I feel like this relationship with this Queen of Swords is beneficial to her more so than you, or has been in the past, and we might need to how do I want to say this? I feel like she's moving away from us, but I don't feel like she's willing to acknowledge the changes and the work that you've done. And that's some of this Eight of Swords energy too, is like, what do we need to free ourselves from? Is there a significant woman around us? This could be a teacher, confidant, somebody that we've kind of gone to maybe for advice in the past. We've utilized their advice, we've placed them sort of maybe on a pedestal. We are kind of maybe redefining our relationship with them, and this might come to, I don't want to say ahead because I don't feel like she's willing to fight with my Virgos this month. I feel like she's just unwilling to acknowledge the strides that you've made. I don't think that that really matters. In essence, the Magician is a more powerful card than, say, the Queen of Swords, right? So I feel like if Virgos own their stuff and really stay aware of how far they've come and the things that they've accomplished and don't look to outside sources for that validation, you guys will be fine, right? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So, and then the next card is the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands, let me just see here. The Three of Wands is always about sort of kind of incoming opportunities. To me, let me just look at this for a minute. I feel like it's new choices, like new opportunities that could be coming in for Virgo. I also feel like the Wands is more in tune with the Magician card that we have in the center, if that makes any sense. I feel like Wands are exactly the tool that the Magician uses, even though the Magician card has access to all the four elements, water, air, swords, cups, pentacles, and wands. But when I look at this Three of Wands, this might be the opportunities that are coming in for us to step into this Magician card, to work our magic, that there could be new situations, new friendships, new just, I don't want to say challenges because this Three of Wands doesn't feel challenging to me. It feels like these are the opportunities that are coming to us this month. And this might be the signs that we need to watch out for, is this Three of Wands. Okay? I feel like, because, and part of the reason why I say this is, do you see this young boy on the card? He's like a little sheep herder. But to me, he's not the most noticeable. He's sort of like, these things might come in subtly. But if we're paying attention to the signs and the omens around us and we're being intelligent about it and we're not overanalyzing things, these are the more subtle opportunities where we really get to shine. Does that make sense? And so, to me, and these are going to be things that will ideally, in a perfect world, if we are sort of paying attention, they will be opportunities that connect with us in spirit, right? Because Wands is the element of fire, right? Which is the element of spirit. And so to me, whatever sort of excites us in the month of September, whatever we find that might bring us joy or pleasure, kind of definitely jump in and enjoy it. Utilize those more subtle moments to create change, create magic in your life. Does that make sense? This Queen of Swords, though, she might be, I don't know why, but I feel like she doesn't want us to do this. Like, she wants to not engage. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I feel like she's being very dismissive of, it's almost like I feel like this Queen of Swords is an element or a person that holds us back. They want us to sort of stay in a certain role that serves them or suits them. I'm not exactly sure. You guys will have to leave me messages on the video later and let me know if this makes sense to you guys. But to me, I feel like the Queen of Swords wants us to sort of stay in a certain role. And I feel like this Three of Wands is this opportunity to almost play, to kind of create new situations, new excitements, new sort of small joys, and work that magic that we see in the Magician that kind of maybe leads us down a different path, or might even lead us away from this Queen of Wands or this Queen of Swords. And that's okay, because I don't feel like this Queen of Swords is necessarily a bad person. I just feel like she's intent on kind of keeping the status quo. Does that make sense? And so And I feel like the Magician isn't about status quo. The Magician is about changing, evolving, materialization, learning new aspects of oneself, that sort of a thing. So if there's someone around you that kind of maybe limits your growth or doesn't want to acknowledge opportunities for you to grow, be aware of that. You don't have to fight with them per se, but you might just want to just kind of keep these smaller, more subtle moments. I don't know, you may not be able to share them with them because they're not going to, I get the sense that she's not going to be able to see them as you do or appreciate them as such. Does that make sense? All right, so this last card is what I call the potential outcomes card. This card tells me a bit about sort of where my Virgos will end up by the end of the month, barring that nothing major changes, right? So this is not set in stone. This just gives us a little indication as to how the month is going to end up for the majority of you. You can use this card if it's a negative card to use it as a warning to make choices and changes to affect the outcome. So this card doesn't necessarily come to pass. But if we like this card and it's a good outcome, we can kind of take heart in the fact that we're naturally going to progress towards this card, just kind of keeping things status quo. All right, beautiful outcome card. This is the Lovers. Again, air sign, Gemini. So a lot of air energy, a lot of, and again, I'm going to say this too, we have this don't overanalyze in the owl, and the owl being knowledge, right? Wisdom and knowledge, that would also be a very intellectual or air symbol, right? Owl is also a bird that flies on the air. So there's a lot of mental work happening in the month of September for my Virgos. The Lovers card is a beautiful card. To me, it's associated with the sign of Gemini, but I feel like there's this, I don't necessarily know that this is my Virgos meeting somebody and falling in love per se, but I feel like this could very easily be my Virgos kind of falling in love with themselves again, right? Falling in love with sort of a deeper appreciation of who they are and what they're worth, their own sort of skill set. I love that there's that angel looking over that couple as they're being, married or in a union there. But so I feel like my Virgos by month end will feel what's the word, like satisfied, connected, and this could be, I mean, the Lovers could definitely represent sort of the opportunity of a new relationship, but I don't necessarily see that new relationship. The only place where I would see that new relationship coming in would be that Three of Wands, but to me that's not the most romantic of cards. And also, if that is your romance coming in there, that shepherd boy looks awfully young. So if some of you Virgos robbed the cradle this month, don't be surprised. But that would be the closest thing that I would see to a relationship. But that's not really the most romantic of relationship cards. So I think that this Lovers aspect is more about finding love for self for the majority of you, and the opportunities that come with that, the sort of blessings that come with that wonderful energy of kind of feeling complete from within, and then moving into the following month, October, kind of feeling more whole and maybe attracting something that's more in line with a relationship for some of you that are single. The key for this month, I think, is about kind of finishing up, acknowledging where we've been, the struggles that we've had, and the sort of demons that we've faced, right? That would be the devil. And then kind of clearing away any last minute triggers, thoughts, aggravations, things that kind of still might be under our skin. They're not major. I don't feel like they're super major. The Eight of Swords is not like a heavy duty card. There's always that opportunity to escape out of the Eight of Swords. But to me, I feel like this Eight of Swords also, that man leaning over helping the other man, to me is like our higher self kind of tending to ourselves. If we honestly acknowledge that mentally, this kind of begins the steps towards what we see here in this Lovers, which is this union or bond within ourselves. First and foremost, that's what we should be looking for. Beyond that, for those of you that do find love with another individual in the month of September, more power to you. I think that's great. But I always try and keep it a little bit more on the realistic side. And this is about, to me, what I feel like is about strengthening your belief and your relationship to self. That's also the Magician being the number one card in the center there. It's like the role is number one. It's like me and you being the focus. So utilizing that focus to empower yourself throughout this month to kind of deal with any last minute loose ends that you might have emotionally, mentally, especially that you want to let go of, so that you can sort of move into October kind of ready for what I think is going to be some big opportunities. I don't remember Virgo's reading last month, so I'm not really sure what went on with Virgo's reading last month. But I feel like this Three of Wands is the beginnings of situations that are coming to us that we don't even realize. Like, as we utilize this magician energy, if we're paying attention and we're not over analyzing and not getting too stuck, and we're following the signs and connecting to spirit and allowing this stuff to carry us, or not just carry us, but like actively utilizing this in the form of the magician, right? If we're actively getting in there and making it happen, I get a feeling that October could be a really, maybe October, November, I get a feeling that there's big things coming. The Three of Wands is like the door opening, is sort of the vibe that I'm getting, or the feeling that I'm getting. And that's kind of why our spirit wants that Eight of Swords taken care of, why it wants us to focus on any last minute triggers or things of the past that might, you know, kind of still dwell in our brain. Because like there's new stuff coming that's far more exciting. Does that make sense? That's also the Lover's card at the month's end, right? There's this like sort of new lease on life, this appreciation, this exuberance, this happiness, this joyous occasion that we've kind of, you know, come even further. And I think that Spirit is going to be helping this all the way along with that Owl card. Oh, good, Lorraine. I'm glad. I'm glad. Hey, Tina, how are you? Thank you for tuning in, you guys. All right, so that is your forecast for September. I am going to sign off and sign back on to do Capricorn. But that is the Virgo September forecast. Again, it's a broad forecast, so it's kind of meant for a lot of different people. Take what you need and leave the rest. And I hope you guys have an awesome September. I will see you guys again. You guys know that on my YouTube channel, for those of you that are watching on Facebook, on my YouTube channel, there is a daily forecast. You can always tune in there. That's always a message daily for everybody, not dependent upon signs. It's for the general energy of everybody. That's always available to you, so you can always tune in every day in the morning there. And then I will see you guys next month for October's forecast. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you all later. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and share it out. Share it with your Virgo friends, and I look forward to seeing you guys next month. All right, take care. Bye-bye.